Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this episode for the development context of Sovereign Credit Ratings podcast. Of course, this podcast is brought to you by UNDP, that's the United Nations Development Program, and AfriCatalyst. I'm your host, Arnold Segoa, and we continue with our conversation about credit ratings and credit rating agencies and what it means for many emerging markets, frontier markets, developing economies. And as always, we just want to have a very insightful conversation with people in the thick of things, people who know what conversations actually go around between, or should I say, in those rooms. Just to give you an idea what today's episode actually has in store for us. As you do remember, access to finance is a key issue for many developing economies, and of course, Africa's transformation agenda, as traditional sources of finance such as the official development assistance, as the ODA become less available, the sovereign credit ratings have emerged as critical determinants of access to commercial funding. Unfortunately, many African countries still face challenges related to low credit ratings, which is not only elevating the cost of borrowing, but also hinders fiscal flexibility, and of course increasing vulnerability to external shocks. In this episode, we engage with Abeid Farahani, who is an economist from the Ministry of Finance in Tanzania, who has also been part of the negotiating teams that recently saw Tanzania get upgraded, actually, by Moody's. Abeid, good to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for the invitations. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it is a pleasure, and it has been such a great year for Tanzania. On the 22nd of March 2024, that's Moody's, which is part of the big three, as you know them, if you know much about credit ratings, upgraded the government of Tanzania's long-term issuer ratings from B1 to B2 and changed the outlook to stable. That's very, very positive news. Abeid, just walk me through some of what you would say could have been some of the ingredients that saw this news come to fruition.
Yeah, thank you so much, Arnold, for this session. As I would say, as you were put it right, the Moody's has upgraded us in March from B2 and to B1, and from positive to stable outlook. That was a very good news from our side, which shows the commitment of the government to the rating issues. So the government, we are doing, we are keen to do more so that we improve these grades to better positions, so that we get financing at a cheap cost. So in terms of credit strength, there are two key areas that I would say which has contributed much to this upgrade. The first one is the economic strength. You know, as you read many reports telling the good stories about the Tanzanian economy, which is well diversified compared to other peers. So starting from the agricultural sector, mining, manufacturing, construction, to tourism sector, which enable our country to absorb all the shocks that the global is facing right now. So because of that, we didn't experience any negative growth in the past 3 to 4 years, and our growth remained positive. Back then, before the COVID, we had a growth about 7%, which is so marvelous compared to the other peers. After COVID and other shocks, our economy goes a bit down, around 3 to 5%. But that was also good news because many of the countries back then were experienced the negative outlook. So that's the track record of economic growth put us on a very better position to get this upgrade. On that side also, I would say the diversification of our economy also was a key, because if you take a look on other countries which depend much on tourism, during COVID time, the economy was totally shut down. But us as Tanzanians, because our economy is well diversified, we shift to other sectors and our economy remained positive because of economic activities, which was ongoing regardless of economic headwinds that the globe had been facing so far. That's the first one. The second one is the fiscal strength. If you take a look on the IMF reports or the UNDP reports, the World Bank report, you will see how conservative we are in terms of the fiscal stance. We made sure that we have so disciplined in terms of the fiscal deficit, which ultimately translated to the level of debt. So because of that, you will see our debt level, it's below 45%, which is far below the regional peers, which is around above 60%. So our fiscal conservative approach in terms of implementing fiscal policy put us in a position that we are not using a lot of our revenues to pay our cost of financing. So if you take a look at the interest payment as a share revenue, is less than 12%. Right now it sits around 9 to 10%. If you compare with the other peers in the regions, they are about 20%. So that's make our debt so affordable, which at the end of the day translated to this upgrade.
Right. Let me bring you with back to maybe your past experience with the credit rating agencies. Give me a sense of how do I say this? The conversations that go into or go on in the room before some of these decisions are actually made. Because from my understanding and what we've been talking about, some of these decisions are actually quite objective, or should I say subjective, which could be a challenge.
Yeah, I agree. Arnold. What you are saying is totally right. There is some subjectivity in it, which makes people think like there is some sort of biasness. And as you know, this analysis is done by human beings, so you cannot avoid some human errors in between there. So what we are doing as Tanzania is to make sure that we provide all the necessary information to make sure that we provide a positive outlook to the analyst. And at any case happens that the rating analyst probably has a negative perception about some things, we are making sure that we put forward the facts which shows that his thinking is not right. So because of that, so far, we had a very good moment with rating agencies. I would never say that we don't have any challenges or weaknesses, anything about that. We have it, but so far, generally, the trend has been so well in terms of engagements with this rating analyst.
I think as someone who is working in the Ministry of Finance, this is a question I always wanted to ask. To Tanzania, until 14 years ago, I remember Tanzania only got its, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but getting its first credit rating in around 2010, when they actually did start advertising and saying, we're looking into this. To what extent would you say this was on one end driven by the Eurobond that Tanzania was keen on at the time, but also maybe the political will and also the drive from then Finance Minister Mustafa Mkulu?
Yeah, of course, you are right. Before we formally engage these rating agencies, our bodies tend to provide unsolicited opinion on Tanzania. And that's quite obvious because Moody's.
That's interesting when you say unsolicited opinion.
Yeah, Moody's is doing so for the countries that has not been rated by their company, and probably there are investors who would like to invest on certain probably corporate bonds and likes. So they tend to provide us unsolicited ratings so that to provide those information to the investors. So since that scorecard was unsolicited, Tanzania, what we did is just to make sure that we communicate and we provide some information. But since we were not officially engaged, automatically they totally expressed the opinion by saying that this is unsolicited. So it is known that when we say unsolicited, that means we are not getting any feedback from the government officials. So this is solely our opinion without taking any feedback from the government officials. So because of that, and the government seeing that there is a potential of doing rating, not only by widening the possibility of accessing financing, but also to provide a view, a picture of our country to the world, which at the end of the day will influence foreign direct investments and so forth. The government decided to officially engage these credit rating agencies. So when we engage with them officially and getting more information from us, which they accepted that they didn't have this much information, so that at the end of the day, they do what they are doing, so that at the end we have an upgrade from that B2 to B1. So I would say, because of good relationship we have with the Moody's, and we still continue exchanging notes. So far we are here, and we hope for a better grades in the near future.
Definitely. Tom, give me a sense of how regional collaboration and South-South cooperation can contribute to improving credit rating processes and, of course, outcomes for many African countries.
Yeah, of course, there is a big relationship, because, as you know, when your neighbor probably is experiencing some sort of political instability, it will affect your side also because of the movements of refugees from one point to the other. But since in East Africa communities, we are doing quite well together in terms of harmonize our economic structure, moving from targeting probably having the monetary union like our brothers in Western. So because of those developments and harmonizing some of the tax reforms, making sure that we have the same standards in the tax policy. So doing all of this together, at least make these collaborations sees that the rating agencies see that we as a bloc, we are not leaving anyone behind. We are making sure that we develop together. I agree that there are different features in terms of domestic economy, but generally as a region, we support our economy together by attracting more FDIs and making sure that our people and businesses that we are doing are interacting and supporting each other.
Finally, Abeid, tell me what the next steps are. As you have highlighted, it's one thing to actually have the upgrade from Moody's, but the job is not done. I'm sure you're looking at even doing more. What are the next steps? What do you see in the near to midterm that can be addressed? You've talked about the conservative nature when it comes to fiscal spending from the Tanzanian government. On the fiscal side, I see that, but what other steps do you see in your bag in the near future that you plan on embarking on?
Yeah, that's very good questions, and we have many plans to make sure that we improve our rating. Yeah, personally, I would say I would like, when I probably move out from the office one day, I see Tanzania on an investment grade. That's my ambitions. Hopefully, it will happen one day. So we, as a technical people right now, we recommend to our minister that we focus more on the areas that which show that we have a weakness on. For instance, if you take a look on our per capita income, right now it's around $1,200. So that's way below. So and why is that? We all know that Tanzania population growth is around 3%. And this population growth has not yet been utilized to be engaged in the economic activities. So what we are doing right now is to make sure that we address some constraints that makes this big part of population to engage themselves in economic activity. So at the end of the day, when we experience this robust growth, at the end of the day, we also is also translated to the per capita income. So to identify first. The government has completed the constructions of hydroelectric power dam, which will generate about 2,000 megawatts. And this is a very good project. As you know, energy is everything in terms of facilitating economic activities. So because of that, we'll address some sort of what we had back then, energy shortage, because we'll contribute to the national grid. So we believe doing this will facilitate, will attract more FDIs, as well as making our people get employment to these areas of economic activities. That's right. Second, I would say the government right now, if you take a look on our budget numbers, allocate a significant amount of budget to social sector by mentioning education and health. Why we do so? Because we are making sure that our people get education, better education. We make sure that the young generations get themselves to the vocational trainings program, because when we talk about industrialization agenda, that means we need to have some population which will be employed to this industry that we are talking about. So that will at least make our people healthy, as well as get better education to engage themselves in these economic activities that will contribute a lot to the robust of economic growth in the future. Last of but not least, I would say on the fiscal side, we still seeing potential accessing financing on the concessional sources. That's part, and that is a very key agenda on us, because we see, of course, these concessional finance have been dried out, because, of course, Tanzania have moved from low-income countries to the low-middle-income country. But still, since we have a good relationship with multilateral institutions, we still access this financing. As you know, this financing is cheap. You have 40 years maturity, 0.75 or 0% interest rate. So you will see the government will have a fiscal space to implement projects before starting repaying up the debt. But not only that, the government is keen to develop our domestic market so that we shift the big chunk of our debt, which is in external right now, at least to the domestic part, which reduces a lot of risk from external part. So these and many other efforts that if I start talking now, it will last forever, are the key issues which we are doing right now to make sure that we improve our grades in the near future.
Thank you very much, Abeid. And of course, in just 2 words, you could say something about the relevance of the initiative which you are attending in Addis right now.
Yeah, this is very crucial because, as you know, when you sit in the boardroom with a rating analyst, you just a Tanzanian and this rating analyst. So you are not getting the other side of the stories, the other engagement of these rating agencies with the other countries. So when you attend the workshop like this, so you get an insight from colleagues what they are going through and what the engagement in terms of making sure that they provide information which will lead to the upgrade of their ratings. So it is very, very, very good workshop. The other very good part of it is to interact with rating analysts from Standard & Poor's and Moody's. So they will give you what is happening inside there and see that what is the best way to engage with these people, even if you are getting a score that is not on your side, it's not favorable on your side. It will help us to at least lower your expectation and find a way to discuss, provide more information, to push so that you get upgrade in the near term.
Thank you again for making time. That was Abeid Farahani, who is an economist from the Ministry of Finance in Tanzania. If you missed anything, be sure to check out the Economist website. Remember, this is part of an initiative that's been happening in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, where different stakeholders are just bouncing ideas and talking about what goes into the spots that we're now calling credit rating. Don't miss out on all this insightful conversations. I'm Arnold Sengawa. Watch out for the next few episodes. We're still going strong. If you missed anything in the course of the week, and maybe you want to know more about macros and credit ratings, be sure to check out the website. I'm your host, Arnold Sengawa, and from me, have a lovely one.